Heartwarming discovery: Black Maid finds missing girl, the unexpected billionaire's daughter. Mary stood under the bright southern sun, her heart overflowing with happiness. The charming town of Willow Creek bloomed around her. It was a place where neighbors lifted each other up in times of need, where every smile felt like a warm embrace. Despite her modest means, she poured love into everything she did, especially her work as a dedicated maid at the local elderly community center. Each day, her worn hands scrubbed floors and cooked meals, but it was the laughter and stories exchanged with the seniors that truly nourished her soul. One day, while cleaning up the nearby park, joy turned to concern when Mary spotted a small figure huddled beneath a tree. A young girl, no older than 7, sat there weeping, her teddy bear clutched tight against her chest. Mary's heart ached. Wiping her hands on her uniform, she approached cautiously. "Honey, are you lost?" she asked gently, kneeling to meet the girl's frightened gaze. The child looked up, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I can't find my daddy." The girl's innocent charm struck a chord deep within Mary. She felt an urge to comfort the lost soul. As she wiped away Emily's tears with a soft cloth from her apron, an unspoken bond formed between them, igniting a spark of compassion in Mary's heart. "Don't you worry, sweet girl. We'll find him together," she promised. Mary's resolve turned the moment into something profound. Unbeknownst to her, Emily was the daughter of a recently widowed billionaire, a fact that would soon shake their small town to its core. With great determination, Mary rallied the community in their search for Emily. Families joined, each one fueled by neighborly love, sharing stories about the little girl, their voices echoing through the streets like a symphony of unity. But as the search progressed, Mary could feel the weight of judgment heavy in the air. Whispers and sideways glances were exchanged whenever she passed by. Some wondered how a hardworking black maid could be trusted with such an important child. Despite her unwavering resolve, the barriers of social prejudice loomed large. Just when the sun reached its highest point, everything turned dark. Accusations flew like arrows when Emily's father, overwhelmed with emotions and fears from public pressure, wrongfully accused Mary of kidnapping his daughter. The once caring community fractured, now divided by the invisible boundaries of wealth and race. Mary's heart raced with despair. She felt the air thicken with tension, her dignity on the line. Yet, amidst this storm, a flicker of hope ignited as a shocking truth surfaced. Emily's late mother had once been Mary's close friend, an unbreakable bond forged through shared struggles and dreams. As the realization unfolded, so did the community's fabric. They began to question their long-held beliefs. Could they move beyond their biases? Just as Mary felt the weight of fate pressing against her, the townspeople sensed the urgency to widen their hearts. With whispers turning into shouts of solidarity or scorn, they faced a crossroads. The question lingered in the air: can love truly conquer all? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With tensions rising and hearts breaking, the story reached a precipice. As Mary stood holding Emily's trembling hand, the air buzzed with anticipation. Would public opinion bend towards compassion? Would Mary find her place in this tangled web of misunderstandings, or was the bond of love and community strong enough to heal old wounds? The answers felt just out of reach, yet painfully close, leaving the townspeople and Mary to wonder, what happens next? The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm glow that belied the tension crackling through Willow Creek. As whispers escalated and eyes turned judgmental, Mary held Emily's small hand tightly in her own. The little girl looked up at her, wide-eyed, the hope flickering within her vulnerable heart mirrored in Mary's. "Stay close, sweetie," Mary murmured, gently brushing Emily's cheek with her thumb. It was an instinct born of friendship and a protective fierceness that had swelled in her since they first met. Despite the firestorm brewing among the townspeople, Mary's heart remained resolute. Fears spread like wildfire. Residents gathered in small clusters, their murmurs growing louder. They echoed concerns and suspicions, voices mingling with the evening light. Mary could hear snippets of conversation that twisted the truth. She stood still, feeling their eyes prick at her back, but she refused to let fear overtake her. Amidst the chaos, Emily let out a soft whimper. "I want my daddy." Her voice broke Mary's heart. The pain of losing a parent, amplified by the emotional upheaval of this moment, struck a familiar chord deep within Mary. She crouched down to look Emily in the eyes, her own fierce spirit igniting. "We're going to find him. We will," she promised, taken aback by how determined she felt. Just then, a familiar voice sliced through the gathering murmur. It was Ruth, Mary's longtime friend from the elderly center. She was stepping forward, her face lined with resolve. "This isn't right. Mary's been nothing but good to that girl. Why are we turning against each other?" Ruth's voice rang out, a plea for justice among the rising tide of misinformation. Murmurs shifted as some began to nod, remembering the kindness Mary had shown them over the years. It didn't erase the doubts in everyone's minds, but it started to plant seeds of reconsideration. "Please, we need to help Mary," Ruth continued, her voice growing stronger. "Emily is lost, and pointing fingers won't solve anything. Let us find her daddy together." The crowd's tension broke just a little. Conversations turned thoughtful, even if uncertainty still clung to the air like humidity on a summer day. People began to remember why they had come to find Emily in the first place. A sudden, sharp noise grabbed everyone's attention. A man burst through the crowd. It was Robert, Emily's father. His expression was a storm of emotions. "Emily!" he shouted, and when their eyes met, the world around them faded. A collective breath was taken as the unsteady balance of earlier emotions tipped toward relief. "Daddy!" Emily screamed, breaking free from Mary's grip and dashing toward him. The bond of father and daughter surged through those who witnessed it, comforting some while unsettling others. As Robert knelt to embrace his daughter, Mary felt a mix of joy and fear flood her heart. But then, instead of gratitude, Robert cast a wary glance back at Mary. "You!" he breathed, anger bubbling up like a volcano. "What do you mean she was with you? How do I know my daughter is safe?" The gasp of shock echoed in the crowd. Anguish swelled within Mary with each word he spat. The warmth from earlier faded, replaced by an icy dread. How could the others see the truth? "Mr. Walker," Ruth stepped forward again, solidarity glistening in her eyes, "listen. Mary found Emily. She took care of her until we could all come together. We were all worried sick. Was this some sort of game? To take my child?" Robert's voice dripped venom, but the tide was starting to shift. Faces around the gathering hardened in defense of Mary, a line drawn not just between wealth and status but between understanding and ignorance. Mary took a shaky breath, knowing she had to speak. "I love this girl. I would never hurt her," she declared, the strength in her voice surprising even herself. "I'm not just a maid. I'm a friend. A mother figure. Emily had no one, and I just wanted to help." The atmosphere thickened with tension as Robert's gaze softened for a fleeting moment, struggling to reconcile the reality of the situation with the pain of loss. Would he be able to see past his anger long enough to understand? The uncertainty hung in the air like an impending storm. In the heart of the town, two worlds collided, and it felt clear that choices made in the moments to follow could reshape lives forever. But as Mary's gaze held Robert's, the question lingered: could healing truly begin in such a fractured moment? The air crackled with emotion, but love began to gather strength on the edges. Would compassion break down the walls that divided them, or would anger reinforce them? Only time would tell what would happen next. Robert's eyes burned with confusion as he looked between Emily and Mary. The pure love in Emily's eyes made him hesitate, but anger still simmered beneath his skin. He was a father, a man torn between the need to protect his daughter and the rising tide of whispers accusing Mary of wrongdoing. "Emily, come here," he commanded, reaching for his daughter. But Emily clung to Mary. "No, Daddy. I was scared. I want to stay with Mary. She helped me." The crowd shifted, the tension palpable. Hearts raced, and the weight of judgment felt like lead. "Daddy, please!" Emily cried, tears welling in her innocent eyes. The scene was heartbreaking, the clash of parental instincts against the truth of love and care unfolding right before them. Robert swallowed hard. "But how do I trust her?" Ruth stepped closer, voice steady. "Because she loves that child. You can see that, can't you, Robert? Mary isn't just a household worker. She is family to Emily, even if you can't see it yet." Robert's features softened for just a moment, but the storm brewing inside him was far from settled. The murmuring crowd became louder, but amidst their chatter, a deeper concern lingered. They weren't just spectators. They were participants in this drama playing out on their streets, and everyone was beginning to question their own roles. Mary took a step forward, her heart racing. "I don't want to take Emily from you, Robert. I want to work together, to keep her safe. She deserves stability. She deserves love. And she deserves her father." The words landed like a soft pebble in the pond. The crowd fell into a contemplative hush, absorbing what she said. Wasn't that the truth they all faced? In a world where misunderstandings tore families apart, wasn't it time to focus on healing and unity rather than blame? Robert shifted, his shoulders drooping slightly. "This is all overwhelming. I just lost my wife." His voice cracked, revealing the raw pain beneath his anger. The townsfolk felt that ache. They too had lost loved ones, seen family bonds stretched and tested. Mary's heart beat fiercely, compassion spilling forth. "You're grieving. I can't imagine what you're going through, and neither can these people. We want to help. Let us find a way to support each other through this." A murmur spread through the crowd, people beginning to rally behind the sentiment of togetherness. In a town woven together by shared stories and hardships, there was strength in unity. "Think of Emily," Ruth urged, holding Robert's gaze. "She deserves to have both her parents, and not just in body, but in spirit. You need support, and Mary can give her love like no one else can." Robert's fists unclenched. He looked again at Emily, who had turned her tear-streaked face upward, her small form radiating need and trust. "You love her?" he finally asked Mary. "I do," Mary answered, her voice firm yet gentle. "With all my heart. I've seen her spirit, and I'll protect her just like any mother would." Robert inhaled deeply, the knots in his chest beginning to loosen. It wasn't perfect, but the first glimmer of something else began to unfold within him. Understanding, perhaps. "I've been so lost," he whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. "I don't want to lose her too." The crowd stood on the precipice of change, a quiet acceptance weaving through the air, but would Robert accept this unexpected alliance and open his heart? As the sun dipped deeper beneath the horizon, casting shadows that danced like fleeting moments of doubt, a collective breath was held. Could Mary's fierce love be the salve to heal the wounds of this fractured family? And as two worlds edged closer to reconciling, unseen storm clouds gathered at the edges, threatening to rain on their fragile hope. How would each decision ripple out, and would love be stronger than fear? Robert stood frozen, the weight of his world teetering on a knife's edge. He searched Mary's eyes for any signs of deceit but found only sincerity. The voices of the crowd swirled around him like a harsh wind, yet he felt an unexpected calm at the center of his storm. Emily's small arms wrapped tightly around Mary as she whispered secrets only they shared, secrets that filled the space around them with warmth. "Daddy?" Emily's voice broke through his thoughts, soft and laced with concern. "Are you okay?" Her earnest gaze tugged at Robert's heart. He crouched to her level, searching for the right words. I don't want to lose you, he finally admitted. The confession felt like a weight lifting from his chest, releasing the grief he had bottled up ever since the accident. Then let us all be together, she exclaimed, her bright smile cutting through the shadows of doubt hanging above them. I need both of you. A flicker of hope ignited within him. Could he do this? Could he put aside his fears and really see Mary for who she was? In that moment, as Emily's eyes gleamed with trust, he made a choice to nurture instead of alienate. All right, I'll try, Robert said, his voice wavering but determined. The crowd seemed to lean in, sensing the shift. Even Ruth smiled softly, relieved to witness this breakthrough. But, Mary hesitated, concern creasing her forehead. What will they think? They have their whispers, their suspicions, enough of them, he interrupted, straightening his back. Let them whisper. I have to figure out what is best for Emily, for my family, for Miss Mary. With that declaration, an unexpected vulnerability emerged from Robert. The air felt thicker with every second he lingered on that thought. The more real he made it, the more he realized how much he needed Mary's support but also how much Emily needed both of them to be whole. The townsfolk tilted their heads, absorbing every nuance. Whispers shifted into understanding, a new thread of compassion weaving through the group. Robert sensed the tension lifting, replaced by a quiet willingness to find unity rather than division. Let us grab some coffee and talk, Robert suggested, extending a hand toward Mary. Emily cheered, clapping her small hands. Mary hesitated only a moment, then nodded, taking Robert's hand with a tentative smile, warmth radiating from their connection. As they began to walk away, Robert turned back to face the assembled crowd. He raised his voice, filled with sincerity. Sometimes love goes beyond blood, beyond what we think we know. We will figure this out together. The first smiles began to pierce the lingering shadows, their hearts beginning to mend under the weight of that truth. Robert felt lightness in his spirit as he took a step toward reconciliation, but just as they were about to disappear into the cozy cafe down the street, the storm clouds returned suddenly. They were met by a figure emerging from the crowd. Excuse me, Robert, the voice called out, trembling with urgency. It was the town's mayor, his face a mask of concern. We need to talk about Emily, it's more serious than it seems. The warmth in Robert's chest was interrupted by a chill of foreboding. What could possibly be more serious than this? As he turned, dread twisted in his gut. Was this new alliance about to face its first true test, or could they fight for Emily's future against whatever storm was brewing? Robert's heartbeat quickened as he faced the mayor, who stepped closer, his brow lined with worry. The world around them faded into a blur of whispers and shifting bodies. It was just Robert and the mayor, anchored in an unsettling conversation. What is going on? Robert demanded, urgency spilling into his tone. Emily clutched Mary's hand, looking up at them both with fear and confusion. The mayor cleared his throat, the weight of his responsibility hanging heavy in the air. It's about Emily's safety, Robert. We've received reports about some troubling people asking questions about her people who aren't from this town. They're searching for someone, and their interest seems to be focused on Emily. Robert felt the world tilt beneath him. The warmth of their earlier moment evaporated, replaced by an icy grip of anxiety. What do you mean? What kind of people? They showed up after the accident. A few weeks ago, and they've been discreet, but persistent. We think they might be connected to, well, let us just say Emily could be part of something much larger than any of us expected. The mayor's voice trembled, and Robert felt a thunderous roar in his ears. Mary knelt beside Emily, their faces inches apart. You're safe with us, sweetie. No one will hurt you. Her voice was soothing, though Robert saw the shadow of uncertainty in her eyes. What's this about? Robert asked, struggling to keep his voice steady. What does any of this even mean? The rumors go back to a very wealthy family, Robert, the mayor explained, his tone lowering to a hushed whisper. We've been trying to keep things quiet for Emily's protection. What if she holds the key to solving something much deeper, perhaps something dangerous? We're worried that whoever is inquiring about her might not have good intentions. Each word felt like a punch to Robert's gut. Images flashed through his mind, the precious moments he'd spent with Emily, her innocent laughter, the way she clung to Mary, and now the possibility that there were those who would threaten her. It was overwhelming, unbearable. But she's my daughter. She's safe here. Robert shouted, anger and fear weaving through his voice. For a moment, silence enveloped them. The townsfolk had fallen quiet, their expressions a mix of concern and curiosity as they tried to listen without being intrusive. Yes, she's safe for now. But we need to consider our options, the mayor replied firmly. I suggest we hold a meeting with some trusted folks in town to discuss security measures. You won't be able to do this alone, Robert. Robert glanced at Emily, her eyes wide but unafraid. Then he looked at Mary, who was struggling to keep her composure. He knew he had to protect them both. Okay. Let us do that. But no one else can know yet. Not until we understand what we're dealing with, Robert said, determination hardening his voice. Mary nodded, fear and strength mingling in her gaze. I don't care what anyone thinks, Robert. We'll take this on together. Just know, whatever the truth is, Emily is our priority. As they turned to head back toward the cafe, Robert felt a strange mixture of resolve and dread. They were about to step into a battle much bigger than he had anticipated, and what lay ahead was uncertain, but suddenly, Emily tugged on his shirt, pulling him down to her level. Daddy? What's wrong? Are they taking me away? A wave of vulnerability washed over him. He met her eyes, filled with trust. No, sweetheart. Not ever. We are family, he promised, his voice steady but filled with emotion. A murmur swept through the gathered crowd, their empathy palpable. But behind the concern, questions lingered in the shadows. What did the future hold for Emily? How would they combat the forces that wished to tear them apart? As they walked into the cafe, the door swung closed behind them with a definitive thud. Robert couldn't shake the feeling that their fight had only just begun. And somewhere in the back of his mind, a new worry gnawed at him. What if the truth about Emily's lineage changed everything they thought they knew? About love, loyalty, and family? Inside the cafe, the aroma of coffee and baked goods sliced through Robert's haze of anxiety. He felt the weight of the townsfolk's gazes as they filtered back to their conversations, but he couldn't shake the feeling of eyes still peering, still concerned. Each whisper danced through the air like a fragile thread, connecting him to the worries of those around him. Seating Emily in a booth, he noticed her playful fingers tracing the wood grain of the table. Mary slid in beside her, shielding her daughter with a protective arm. Robert took the seat across from them, forcing himself to breathe. He needed to be strong for Emily, yet the fear of losing her curled around his heart. Let us think this through, Mary said, her voice firm. The mayor mentioned holding a meeting. Do you have anyone particular in mind? Robert nodded absently, his mind racing with the implications of their situation. Maybe we could get Jack, Mary, and Doris. They've lived here forever. They know everyone, and they can keep things quiet. We should also consider someone outside of town, Mary suggested. If there are people looking for Emily, we might need a professional to help us navigate this. Emily, sipping on her chocolate milk, suddenly looked up with big, earnest eyes. You're not going to let them take me, right? I want to stay with you. The innocent worry in her voice twisted Robert's heart. I promise, Em. I won't let anything happen to you. Nothing is going to take you away from us. Just then, the front door swung open with a creak, and a chilling breeze rushed in. The cafe quieted as a tall figure stepped in, his presence commanding attention. Robert squinted, instincts flaring. The man's suit was expensive, fitting him like a glove, while his dark eyes scanned the room like a hawk seeking out its prey. "Who is that?" Mary whispered, her voice tight. "I don't know," Robert replied, his pulse quickening. He clenched his fists beneath the table, resolve stealing over him. Whoever this man was, he didn't feel like someone good. The man approached their table slowly, a thin smile playing on his lips. "Robert, isn't it? I've heard quite a bit about you and your daughter. What do you want?" Robert's voice was low and strained, protective instincts firing up inside him. "Just a conversation," the man replied coolly. "You see, Emily is quite special. Her existence could change everything for a lot of people. Including you." Robert felt a shiver slide down his spine as the tension in the room thickened. He needed to shield Emily and Mary from this man, whatever his intentions were. "We're not interested. Leave us alone." As Robert's words hung in the air, Emily clung to Mary, a small shiver escaping her. The man chuckled softly, his gaze unyielding. "But you should be. I think it's important for you to understand just how deep this goes." Mary's grip on Emily tightened, and Robert shifted forward, heart racing. "You don't know anything about us." The man leaned closer, his smile fading. "Oh, but I do. And I will reveal it all soon enough." With a swift motion, he turned to leave, stepping back into the bustling street. An uneasy silence reigned. The world outside felt far more threatening than before, shadows flickering in the corners of Robert's mind. "Daddy?" Emily looked up, her small voice breaking through the tension. "Is everything going to be okay?" The burning fear in Robert's chest flipped into a pulse of determination. "Yes, sweetheart. I'll make sure of it. Whatever it takes." But as they gathered their thoughts, Robert couldn't ignore that sinking feeling. What if this was just the tip of the iceberg? And what had this man meant by changing everything? The meeting with the trusted townsfolk couldn't come fast enough, for Robert sensed that the real battle was about to begin and he had to be ready for whatever truths would emerge from the shadows. How deep did the roots of this threat go? The weight of the stranger's words hung heavily in the air even after he had left. Robert watched the door swing closed behind him, as if sealing away the unsettling reality that now loomed over their lives. The cafe had returned to its cozy atmosphere, but the warmth no longer reached Robert's heart. Instead, it felt like an icy grip squeezed around him, mingled with fear and urgency. "Mom, what does he mean?" Emily's voice was soft but laced with concern. Mary exchanged a quick glance with Robert, her expression wavering between fear and determination. "We don't know, sweetheart. But it's important we stay together and just focus on what we can control for now. He can't take me away, right?" Emily's wide eyes reflected both innocence and an innate understanding that something was very wrong. "Of course not. We're a team," Robert replied, forcing a reassuring smile. Yet, deep down, a tempest swirled. He could feel the moments from his life racing past him, every laugh, every bedtime story, the way Emily's smile could light up even his darkest days. He couldn't let that be taken away. "Not now. Let us finish our drinks and then head to the meeting." "Maybe we can think of a plan," Mary suggested, trying to keep the mood stable for Emily's sake. The three of them nodded in silent agreement. Sipping their drinks, Robert's mind turned. What would they even discuss? The looming threat was an abstract notion, haunting their conversations but with no clear path to resolution. These thoughts raced through his mind when the sudden jingle of the cafe bell rang out once more, pulling him from his spiral. He turned just in time to see Jack pushing through the door, his big frame casting a familiar shadow. Robert's breath hitched slightly. Jack was one of the few people he trusted wholeheartedly. If anyone could help, it was him. "Robert. Mary. I just heard what happened." Jack burst out, his brows drawn together in concern. He stomped in, shaking off the cold and striding over, his typical easygoing demeanor replaced by grim determination. Have a seat, Jack. Mary urged, we need all the help we can get. Jack sank into the seat next to Robert, his large hands clasped tightly before him. I came as soon as I heard. I've been talking to some folks around town. There are whispers about this man. He's got a reputation. What kind of reputation? Robert asked, dread pooling in his stomach. They say he's tied to some deep pockets, and people are scared to cross him. He's been in and out of town before, but this time people are really worried. This isn't good, Mary murmured, her voice barely a whisper. We need to act fast. We can't let him intimidate us, but we need to be smart, Robert said, feeling the weight of responsibility settle heavily on his shoulders. Emily shifted in her seat, glancing between the adults, a flicker of confusion on her small face. But what does he want from us? Robert felt the urge to shield her from the grown-up world of danger and adult fears. Yet he could see the sincerity in her eyes. We think he believes you are special. In a way we can't fully understand right now. What does special mean? Emily pressed, her voice steady. It was a question Robert wished he could answer without fear or hesitation. He bit his lip, knowing it was time for them to unearth the truth together. With a deep breath, he replied, we're going to find out together, no matter what it takes. Just then, the front door swung open again, and the eyes of the cafe shifted from curiosity to alarm. A familiar figure stepped through, panting slightly as she scanned the room. It was Doris, the town elder, a woman steeped in wisdom and warmth. Robert, Mary, Emily. She called, her breath catching slightly as she approached their table. Robert jumped to his feet, instinctively feeling protective. What is it, Doris? I overheard something on my walk over, she said, urgency cracking her usually calm demeanor. You're in danger. We have very little time. His heart thudded wildly as he processed her words. What had she heard? What was about to unfold? The meeting they'd been preparing for just became far more vital, and Robert felt a spark of determination burn inside him. They had to prepare, and they had to dig deeper into this mystery while keeping Emily in the dark. Let us go, he urged, locking eyes with Jack and Mary. But as they stepped out of the cafe, Robert felt the chill of the impending storm. Whatever awaited them on the other side of this door, it would test everything they believed in. He half turned to ask Doris for more details, but then he saw a figure lurking in the shadows of the street, eyes trained on them. Stay close. Robert shouted, instinctively grabbing Emily's hand. The real game was just beginning, and he knew they were in for a fight, but would they be enough to face it? With the chilling realization that the battle had just begun, Robert braced himself for whatever fate lay ahead. The sharp wind cut through the streets as Robert led his small group away from the cafe, eyes darting around for any signs of danger. Emily squeezed his hand tightly, her tiny fingers trembling. Jack and Mary flanked them, their expressions revealing a shared determination that brought a flicker of comfort amidst the chaos. Which way? Jack asked, scanning the dimly lit street. We can't just walk out here like sitting ducks. Robert's mind raced as he tried to process everything. We need to get to the community center. It's crowded there, and we might find help. The brief respite of the cafe was fading away, morphing into something dark and pressing. The earlier warmth of coffee and chatter had been replaced by the biting cold that only the unknown could inflict. He felt a weight in his chest at the thought of Emily's innocent questions, wondering about the shadow looming over their lives. Suddenly, Mary stopped, wincing slightly as if the icy air had struck her. Doris mentioned there's something deeper we should know, she urged, her voice low enough for only Robert to hear. Shouldn't we find out what it is? Robert nodded but felt the pressure of time. We will. But right now, we need to keep moving. We can't lose momentum. As they hurried along, a quiet urgency nestled within their footsteps. The rustic town had never looked so foreboding. Shadows danced along the sidewalks, and the flickering streetlights seemed to cast ominous shapes against the brick facades they passed. "Do you think he's watching us?" Emily's timid voice broke through the silence. Robert glanced down at her, meeting her wide eyes filled with concern and fear. The last thing he wanted was for her to feel alone in this chaos. "We have each other, Em. No one can take that away." But as they continued, doubt seeped into Robert's mind. Every fleeting glance over his shoulder felt like an admission of vulnerability. The figure he had seen lingering by the cafe felt like a shadow, following them even in their haste. "Hey!" Jack suddenly exclaimed, pointing toward a side street. "What about that alley? It could cut our path and lead us faster to the center." Mary tilted her head, uncertainty pulling at her brow. "It's dark. What if it's better than walking directly into danger?" Jack replied, and after a brief, silent debate, they chose to trust their instincts. The alley was narrow and littered with debris, the air heavy with the scent of rain-soaked concrete. Their footsteps echoed eerily against the brick walls, and Robert instinctively pulled Emily closer, feeling her fear mirror his own. "You okay?" he whispered as they walked. "Just stay with me," she replied quietly, her small voice giving him a newfound surge of protectiveness. As they reached the end of the alley, Robert felt a chill creep over him. The exit opened into the back of a large building, where the community center loomed like a sanctuary. And yet, an unsettling feeling hung in the air. "We need to be quick," he urged, shifting into a jog with Emily's hand still enveloped in his. Just as they rounded the corner, a familiar figure stepped out of the shadows behind them, blocking their path with an imposing presence. Robert's heart dropped as he recognized the man's features, stern, calculating, and dangerously close. "Going somewhere?" The stranger sneered, his gaze piercing through the dim light. In that moment, Robert felt time freeze. All their efforts to escape had been in vain, and the weight of what was truly at stake crashed down harder than any fear. This man had come for them. "Run!" Robert shouted, adrenaline skyrocketing as he pushed Emily away and looked back, ready to confront the man who threatened everything. In the chaos, Robert caught a glimpse of Jack and Mary darting into another alleyway, desperately trying to establish a way out. But even as he shouted for them to stay safe, he felt the pull of a darker reality looming. The truth about what they were dealing with was crawling closer. Would they find the strength to uncover it? The shadows deepened around them as the stakes raised higher than ever, and at that moment, Robert knew they were racing against more than just their fears. They were racing against time itself. And he could only hope that they wouldn't lose each other in the fight ahead. Robert's heart hammered in his chest as he caught a glimpse of the stranger's twisted smirk. With Emily's hand slipping through his fingers, he instinctively lunged forward, positioning himself between her and the threat, the world around him narrowing to a single point of focus. The street lights shone less brightly now, casting eerie shadows across the pavement as the stranger stepped closer. "Who are you?" Robert demanded, his voice steady despite the tremors of panic rising through him. The man before him was like a storm, all dark intensity and chaos, and Robert felt the air crackle with unspoken menace. "Just someone who's very curious about you," the stranger replied, almost casually, as if the fear he evoked meant nothing to him. "The little girl, she's quite special, isn't she?" Robert's mind raced. He couldn't let fear cloud his judgment. He had to protect Emily at all costs. "You don't want to hurt her," Robert warned, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "You want to get away with it." The stranger chuckled, low and menacing. "You think I'm here to hurt her? Think again. I want what she represents, Robert. And I believe you do too." "Let her go," Robert growled, taking a cautious step forward, but Emily's frightened gasp made him pause. He turned slightly, looking back at her. "Stay behind me, Em," he whispered urgently, trying to conceal the tremor in his voice. She nodded, her eyes wide with terror, and Robert felt his resolve hardening. He wasn't going to back down. Suddenly, Emily's small voice rang out, cutting through the tension. "I'm right here." I'm not scared, Mr. Stranger. The man raised an eyebrow, intrigue flickering across his features. Oh really? You have quite a brave little girl here, Robert. With every second that passed, Robert felt the tension in the air thicken like a noose. He needed to think of a way to get them to safety. He strained to hear any signs of Jack and Mary. The shouts before felt like echoes now, too far and too quiet. Why don't you tell me what you want? Robert challenged the stranger. What do you think I have that you're after? The stranger's smile faded slightly, replaced by a calculating look. I want the girl's fate to be decided by the right people. You're not equipped to protect her, and you know it. Behind him, Robert could hear Emily's breathing, shallow and quickening. The threat loomed larger, and Robert fought against the suffocating weight of helplessness. He needed to act. There had to be a way out. Before he could formulate a plan, the stranger lunged forward, catching Robert off guard. They stumbled back, and Robert felt a surge of fear. M's eyes widened, and a cry escaped her lips. In that instant, everything flashed before Robert's eyes: the cafe, the laughter, the warmth of the moments they shared. Run! He barked again, shoving the stranger aside. He caught sight of Jack and Mary returning, their expressions a mix of confusion and urgency. Over here! Jack shouted, leading the way into the open parking lot behind the community center. Without a second thought, Robert grabbed Emily's hand, pulling her to his side, trusting that Jack and Mary would follow. They sprinted together, feet pounding against the cold ground as they headed toward safety. The stranger's loud voice echoed behind them, filled with malice. You can't escape, Robert. The truth always finds a way. Robert's heart raced, determination flaring within him to not only survive but to protect Emily against the encroaching darkness. As they neared the entrance of the community center, a flicker of hope lit a path through his fear. Would they truly be able to find refuge there? And what truths lay ahead that they had yet to uncover? With every stride, Robert felt the weight of their fears juxtaposed against the possibility of hope, a realization that the fight was only beginning. What awaited them inside? The tension thinned as Robert and his small entourage rushed toward the community center, their hearts racing with the urgency of survival. Every step felt like a drumbeat of determination, driving them closer to safety and clarity. The warm glow of the building's entrance beckoned them, a beacon against the encroaching shadows. They burst through the door, and the familiar bustling atmosphere enveloped them. The community center came alive with laughter and chatter, a stark contrast to the danger that huddled just outside. The community they cherished was more than just four walls, it was family. Robert quickly scanned the room, looking for allies. There, in the corner, he spotted Ruth and Doris discussing something in hushed tones. He felt a surge of hope and pulled Emily closer. Stick with me, Em, he whispered, eyes darting around. We're safe here. Ruth glanced up and her eyes widened. Robert. Mary. What happened? Mary relayed the quick series of events, urgency in her voice. As she spoke, Robert kept an eye on the entrance. The stranger had followed them in, but for the moment, he seemed to be hanging back, studying the scene. Who is that guy? Doris asked, her voice tinged with concern. He wants Emily, Robert stated firmly. A collective gasp rippled through the gathered crowd. He's not here for good. We need to protect her. A murmur of agreement spread among the townsfolk. Without delay, Jack, a gentle giant in attitude and heart, stood tall behind them. We're all in this together. We'll figure this out. With the sense of unity growing, Robert felt something stir within him. We can't let fear control us. This is about Emily, and showing her what it means to be loved by family. His gaze switched towards Emily, who had shifted her grip on Mary's hand. I don't want him to take me away, she whispered, her innocence piercing his heart with a sadness he desperately wished to shield her from. Sweetheart, Mary said softly, leaning down to meet Emily's gaze, you're not alone. We're all here for you. We won't let anyone take you. Just as reassurance settled in the air, the stranger stepped forward, his presence shadowing them. "The truth, Robert," he called out, his voice cold and calculating. "You're only delaying the inevitable. She's meant for more than this life." Gasps echoed from the crowd. However, bolstered by their unity, Robert took a steadying breath. He stepped forward, blood rushing in his ears. "You don't get to decide what Emily deserves," he shouted back, his voice ringing with a determination that surprised even him. "Not anymore." The tension thickened, the crowd brimming with a protective energy that surged around them. Whispers of solidarity filled the air. This was their town, their community, and they would not let fear fracture the bond they had fought so hard to forge. "Leave her alone." Jack's voice resonated through the room, drawing attention like a rallying call. "Enough." The stranger replied, his tone sharp. A flicker of doubt danced across his eyes. "This is bigger than you all. She's part of something powerful. I don't care." Robert shot back, every ounce of frustration pouring out. "You're nothing without respect for families and love. Emily is part of our family now." The community erupted into a chorus of agreement, each voice blending into an anthem of unity. The stranger faltered, uncertainty weaving through his facade. Then, something remarkable happened. The elderly members of the town, those who had felt invisible for years, began to rise. Ruth stepped forward, her eyes ablaze with conviction. "We've weathered storms before. You can't take what's ours. Emily has brought us all back together, and we won't let you destroy that." The crowd hummed with energy, each person igniting the fire of courage within another. Robert felt it like a palpable wave, carrying each member closer together. Love was their shield, compassion their weapon. "Listen well," Robert commanded, eyeing the stranger steadfastly. "This community stands behind Emily and her right to be loved freely. We're not afraid of you. You may think you possess some power or truth, but here, love conquers all." The stranger's expression began to crack, frustration mingling with doubt. He opened his mouth, preparing to retort, but the wave of voices surged. "We won't be intimidated. She belongs to us. We will protect her." Each proclamation stitched the fabric of community tighter, making the bonds of family feel stronger than any wealth or threat could penetrate. In that pivotal moment, a mixture of relief and fierce satisfaction washed over Robert. He could see Emily's spirit lifting, her gaze returning to her friends, her family. She was safe, and as long as they stood together, they would remain so. "Walk away," Robert said, stepping to the forefront. "And know that love is a force you cannot reckon with. You can try to shatter our family, but you will only succeed in making it stronger." The stranger, face twisted into an indecipherable mix of surprise and fury, backed away slowly. "This isn't over," he hissed, yet there was an edge of uncertainty to his tone now. As he retreated, escorted by a wave of vigilance from the others, Robert felt the tension in the air shift. Gone was the stranglehold of fear, it had been replaced with hope, love, and community power. Emily's small arms wrapped around him, pulling him close. "Did we win, Daddy?" she whispered, her voice bright against the charged atmosphere. "Yes, sweetheart," he breathed, his heart swelling. "Today, we all won." Looking around at the resolute faces of their friends and neighbors, Robert couldn't help but feel gratitude. This was their moment. The town of Willow Creek stood, bonded and unyielding, ready to face whatever came next. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over them, hope blossomed anew in Robert's heart. They would face tomorrow together, the echoes of love carrying them forward. Now was their time to shine. And so, the story of Willow Creek continued, woven through with friendship, resilience, and a heartfelt commitment to nurture and protect their family, no matter what. If you found this journey inspiring, there's something I need from you right now. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will touch your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the community strong. comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your voice matters, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support, so don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.